How can you balance your punk rock ethics and running a marketing agency? That's the question I'm asking Ade Holder on this week's episode of Search with Candour.
I actually feel quite passionate about constructive capitalism. And this may be because as a punk rocker, you get older and you start changing how you look at things. It changed from being destructive to really constructive. Let's make a positive change. Let's just not smash it down. Let's replace it with something better. I'm more positively impactful now as a business owner than I was when I was doing an awful lot of shouting on stage. It is an expectation that you should be ultimately selfish. And I actually think there are a lot of business owners that probably are much, much less selfish. I wanted the business to be different. So we immediately started with unlimited holiday and no set working hours. It's a mental health safe space. Everyone's totally allowed to just tap in and say, I'm not good.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Search with Candour. I am your host and undefeated MMA fighter, Jack Chambers Ward. And welcome to December, everybody. I'm feeling festive. I've got my festive lighting set up. I've got my Christmas tree up here behind me. I'm feeling very festive. I hope you're enjoying the start of the festive season in December because I've got a fantastic guest this week. This has been a long time in the making. I have got Ade Holder joining me this week. We're going to talk all about punk. And I know that seems kind of weird for an SEO podcast, but genuinely, how Ade talks about the values and structures and understanding of punk and how that relates to his business acumen and his marketing strategies is really, really interesting. And I think really brings together a lot of the ethical and values-based discussion we've been having on a lot of episodes this season. And I think it really, really helps to tie everything back because Ade is a legit punk rock legend. He is the frontman of Phinius Gage, a Brighton-based punk band from the late 90s, early 2000s, and they are just releasing new music right now. At time of recording, we recorded this back in July, August sort of time. They had just released a song called Masquerade, which you can hear as the little intro music on this episode. And yeah, it's a really, really cool, brilliant kind of mix of styles. We talk about it on the episode. We get into a big music discussion at the end of the episode. So if you've been waiting all year, you know, we've talked about anime, we've talked about books, we've talked about sci-fi. We're going to talk about punk, we're going to talk about metal. So you can enjoy that at the end of the episode when it comes to Ade's recommendations as well. But in the meantime, please do like and subscribe. Of course, I hugely appreciate any comments, any likes, any subscriptions, following on Spotify, reviews on Apple Podcasts, all that good stuff that helps spread the word of Search with Candour. It makes my job so worth it when I see you guys commenting and joining in the conversation and recommending episodes to each other on social media and all that kind of stuff. So please do share us around as well. In the meantime, I will not take up any more of your time. Please enjoy my conversation with Ade Holder and how he started 427 Marketing, his agency, and how you relate punk rock ethics to running a marketing agency. Here's me talking to Ade from a couple of months ago. Enjoy. My guest this week has worked in marketing for over 15 years. You may recognize him from his recent talk at Brighton SEO back in April 2025. You may recognize him from his work as a freelance motoring journalist and the lead singer and guitarist of Brighton's finest hardcore punk band, Phinius Gage. He is the owner and managing director at 427 Marketing. Welcome to Search with Candour, Ade Holder.
What an intro, dude. Thank you. And thanks for having me. That's amazing. You've made me feel hugely good about myself all of a sudden. That's great.
That is my goal with these intros. I want to hype you up. You are the guest. You are the special guest here.
Thanks, man.
I want to make you guys feel special and energized for the show. You know, ready to talk about business, personal stuff. We're going to get very personal this episode, folks. I hope you're ready.
Yeah,
we're going to get deep.
And motoring journalism, you picked that. Chuck that one in as well.
Oh yeah, I do my research, mate. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, so we are going to get into basically a mixture and how to balance personal and business stuff. I know this is a conversation you and I had on LinkedIn a few weeks ago now, Ade, I think it was, when we were talking about, what topics we could do for the podcast. I know it's something I've talked about, and how I got my job here at Candour as well was a big part of that, and tying in all my personal stuff. So I guess I'll hand things straight off over to you and kind of say, why do you want to talk about this topic? Why is this an important topic to you?
Oh, that's a huge topic. That's a huge one to start with. I think, and I think we'll probably cover this a lot, but there's something about authenticity that came up, and it was a really big step when we sort of had a bit of a hiatus and started making music again. And in between all of that world, I built this agency and had this kind of life, and it was a big step for me to bring the two together publicly. I know that sounds weird. Now, I imagine everyone says, well, nobody cares. But years in business taught me maybe to care. And it's been an interesting journey to kind of go, well, is that okay? Like, can you do this and be that at the same time? And that level of authenticity, I think, matters, but it's still scary. I was brought up my early career, sales and all sorts of other stuff. Was like, don't talk about that sort of thing. No. Wear your shirts and dress for the job you want, not the job you have, and all that sort of stuff. And so it became a topic out of nowhere, really, to be honest. And now it sort of seems to become a thing, which I'm leaning into.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of us, especially when it comes to kind of balancing the marketing side of things and something like punk, like you do with Phinius Gage, and that kind of anti-authority, anti-establishment kind of stuff, and they'll be like, also buy things from my clients, please. There's such an obvious clash between like, fuck capitalism, but also marketing. Like, I struggle with that a lot personally as well.
Yeah, you know what? That's interesting. I actually feel quite passionate about constructive capitalism, and this may be because I as a punk rocker, you get older and you start changing how you look at things. I do think a little bit of distance helps. You kind of look at things at a different level, but I think it's okay to generate revenue through things that you do or sell. It's what you do with that revenue, how you behave to the people you're with, and I think staff well-being, your own well-being, sharing that value, paying what you should be paying, trying to support where you can support. I think you can still be, maybe I might shoehorning myself into my own beliefs here, but I think you can carry that positivity and punk rock ethic through to capitalism and business. I don't think they should be mutually exclusive.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think that's similar, maybe not quite as punk, but here at Candour, we're definitely in that kind of, selective about the clients we work with and being aware of things like their environmental impact or their political leaders and all this kind of stuff, right? Does it align with the beliefs and values of the people who work here? And it's not just John, Jessica, and Mark, the directors, talking about it. We had a client inquire, I want to say last year, maybe 18 months ago, something like that. And we were like, okay, they work in this particular industry. It's somewhat controversial. We're hesitant. We were not going to say yes. We want to pitch it to you. And they kind of had a team call with all of us. It's like, I want your honest opinions. How do you feel about this? Are you comfortable? Would you feel comfortable, helping people buy this? Say, for example, it was like drugs or nicotine or whatever. I'm just making that up for anonymity's sake. But like, would you feel comfortable about that? Would you feel comfortable designing a website for a somewhat questionable product? And a lot of us were like, not really. Again, not to be arrogant about it or anything, like, we're not desperate for clients at the moment, thankfully, fingers crossed and all that kind of stuff. So I think you can be in that nice position. You're totally right. You can maintain your values and your beliefs, but also still work as a functioning member of society.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a more functioning member of society. I think stuff is better. There's a reason, and I think I don't want to get into. We can define punk in so many ways, right? And it's a different journey for everybody, right? The part of the beauty of it is an independence of definition, right? And that self-affirming thing. So, what some people hear that word and obviously think of Sex Pistols running around and think of anarchy signs, everything, and I think as you will know, I don't want to get too into the niche, but it evolved through the 90s in the US and came back to the UK, and there's a big UK punk scene, and it changed from being destructive to really constructive. Like, really, let's make a positive change. Let's just not smash it down. Let's replace it with something better. And I've always loved that. So to that end, I think you can be a really positive impact. I hate to admit it to my 20-year-old self, but I'm more positively impactful now as a business owner than I was when I was doing an awful lot of shouting on stage. I do more for the community. I do more for charity. I do more for people and creating jobs in a nice workspace. So I still trying to figure that one out. But whilst I was super in it, I'm now probably more punk rock now than I was in that, which is, which is super weird, but it is what it is. And I think on your point, I just wanted to run with it, but on choosing clients or having that conversation come up, that is definitely a challenge. We had one that was offered to us, and it was a hard no for me immediately. It was a I don't care. They're a pro fox hunting organization, and there's no way on
no thank you
this earth I'm doing anything to further that cause, And the conversations around it with the other people that were referring, it was so lovely. They're like, "Oh, this is gonna be great. They're really nice guys," and I'm sure they are. And I'm not passing judgment on them as individuals, but I will not be aligning or doing anything we do to help that. The flip side of that is another conversation came up with chatting with some friends about political leanings of people that I may or may not choose to work with, but their company is not following that line. I found that a much deeper conversation, because then am I just judging them as a person? Should I judge the output? So our collective SEO work is pushing their business forward and ultimately lining their pockets, I guess. But if they don't put their political leanings into that business, where do I stand? And I don't think I have a full answer on that one yet. I'm trying not to be too judgmental, and because people might feel the same about me the other way, and then we have this conversation, So, and this leads into, now I'm sticking my head above the line, saying, "Hey, I do this." Am I gonna, I was worried I might lose a client or two, or maybe they don't like. It's kind of a bit scary. Even doing this now, it's kind of, I'm a little bit like.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's a lot of, not to be too political about it, but we're talking about punk that's going to get political, especially over the last decade or so. Obviously, post Trump now, in the second turn of Trump, and post Brexit and all this kind of stuff. To me, being now in my mid-30s, it feels like politics is so polarized to both sides and so divisive, right? And I've always struggled with separating art from artist. I will always struggle with listening to a band who I know does horrible stuff personally or politically or whatever. I am very guilty of that, for want of a better phrase, of being a bit too judgmental and not being able to separate art from artist. I don't know, a lot of my friends are like, "No, I still listen to that band because I love their music. I don't really care what their political views are." I think for me, when it comes to the constructive capitalism side of that, is sure, you maybe can listen to them on Spotify, because that's a whole other conversation about how nobody makes any money from Spotify. But are you going to their gigs? Are you buying their merch? Are you funding this stuff? Because even when it comes to, take a really, really big band or a big artist or whatever it is, they can literally contribute to political campaigns, especially in the US. It's a huge thing in the US. And I have stopped listening to bands because I know they have supported the other side of politics. I'm sure.
Can you send me a list?
I've basically got a mental block list of I'm not listening to this band. Pro tip for any other fellow punk band enthusiast or metalheads or anything like that: always, you discover a new band, type two things in: band name controversy, band name allegations. Always. And then the modern one is vaccine. That was fun to do a couple of years ago.
Interesting.
Cool. It's an anti-vax punk band. I get what you mean, but
I feel like we just created a really cool chatbot we could build that just that allows you to put in your political leanings, and then you can filter by put in a band name, and it'll tell you all. It'll collect all of the evidence.
We need a GPT to filter by political.
Like a custom, with a kind of ethos.
Match art with artist, or fan with artist, or something like that. Exactly.
I'll totally do that. Anyway,
this totally, like you said, this totally ties into the business side of things as well, right? Because I have been to this day, and I'm sure I'll be called it many times, I've been called woke and liberal and bleeding heart lefty my entire life, basically. As I said to you before we started recording, I was raised by a goth and a hippie, so I'm very left, and I grew up in the middle of nowhere in North Norfolk, and it was right wing people as far as the eye can see, and my dad, who's thankfully the same size as me, coming out there and sticking his little left wing picket into the garden, shaking his fist to all the right wing farmers nearby. But
Do you know,
you're right. When it
yeah,
comes to the business side of things, as soon as you start talking about this stuff, we're probably losing listeners and viewers by talking about this stuff right now. Like, where's the SEO? Keep your politics out of SEO and marketing and stuff, right?
yes, maybe we should. Maybe edit this bit to the end. Maybe this is at the end. Now everyone's watching it.
This will be the social teaser to get all the
Yeah,
controversy.
absolutely. Yeah. Oh,
This is
God.
the rage bait.
But yeah, I mean, honestly, absolutely, I do find it, and again, not to perhaps get too partisan. Again, I'm already starting to sort of dial back from my
See what I mean?
potentially my authentic self because I'm frightened. Yeah, I find it's odd being in business and maybe having political leanings to the left. It is an expectation that you should be ultimately selfish, and I actually think there are a lot of business owners that probably are much less selfish. I mean, people like Gavin at Search 7 does some amazing stuff, right? Like, just absolutely leading the way with all that. But you really can be good and be successful.
Thank God for that. Eh? We've been trouble.
That's it. We're done now, right? That's it.
No, right? Yeah,
we've answered it. Yeah,
15 minutes into the podcast, we're done. It's problem solved.
Sweet.
But like, do you think you mentioned obviously? I know you guys in Phinius Gage, you took nearly 20 years off, right? So there was a not to make you feel older,
in the middle, but yeah.
give or take.
Yeah.
But that decision to come back, and now knowing obviously you being an owner and founder of an agency, how did that kind of balance with thinking back to Ade in his 20s being angry and shouting on stage to business corporate Ade now, not to label you corporate Ade or anything,
right,
obviously.
Okay. Right. Just give me corporate. It's cool. We can do it. We need a name. It's kind of interesting. I think one of the really interesting things about the driving force for being in a band, full stop, and we all have reasons why. For me, and I think I mentioned this the other day to somebody, it was almost like me starting a business anyway. It was me always not fitting into the standard expectation of doing the same thing every day until I retire. I just couldn't bear. I get claustrophobic if I have the same breakfast 2 days in a row. I literally cannot bear the idea of repetition like that. So I actually think that a lot of the driving force was I'm a very emotional person. I'm get really into stuff. Was that. And it was a drive to do good things, and I was annoyed about the world and what wasn't right. I think that followed through to starting a business. And all the way through, I kept trying different businesses, and then I was working with other people, and then I've always wanted to do this. And I think the band, and it's almost the same thing. When I started the business, I wanted the business to be different. So we immediately started with unlimited holiday and no set working hours, and everyone has it's a mental health safe space. Everyone's totally allowed to just tap in and say I'm not good and whatever. I feel like that's a continuation of that journey. So I don't actually feel it's like super incongruous. I do feel a bit weird sometimes when I've actually got a shirt on and shoes, and I'm networking, and I think this is weird. This isn't what I. But I'm okay. It's okay. Like, I think the outcome is worth it. Like.
Yeah, definitely. I think, to be honest, like a lot of that, I know we talked about this before we started recording, right? The reason a lot of us end up in marketing, and seems to be specifically SEO, is a draw towards that problem-solving, creative-y kind of side of it as well. And I think there's a lot of similar energy that goes into passion projects and side projects and bands and creative endeavors and all that kind of stuff, right? For me, obviously, I mentioned, and I'm told this story on the podcast before, so I'll be brief. The part of the reason why Mark hired me here at Candour and why I'm hosting this show right now is because I do a film podcast with my mates. And he was looking for somebody to do either an SEO or a PPC job, and was also thinking like, oh, maybe somebody could help me out, host Search with Candour or produce it or whatever. And he found the person in Norfolk, I guess, who does SEO and podcast. And that was me. I just listened to Sequelizers, enjoyed this episode. Would you be interested in working for me? It's like, yeah, sure. That's weird. I listened to your podcast, so this is a weird kind of thing. And that was a kind of conscious decision for me, more like I'll give it a go kind of thing, where I'd not really talked about the podcasting side of things that I'd already been doing for 10 years before I started working here. Long before I was a marketer, I was a podcaster. Where it came to like, oh, should I mention that on my CV? Should I mention that on my LinkedIn? Is that
interesting?
Relevant? Do people care? All that kind of stuff. Obviously, slightly different being an employee to yourself being an employer in that way.
Yeah.
But I think there's a real nature of, we all get kind of stuck in our little CV thing of like, my hobbies are music and having fun with
Yeah.
my friends and long
Cooking.
walks on
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
beach and
Yeah.
all the
Exactly.
generic
Yeah.
shit that everybody writes down. Like,
Yeah.
cool. What makes you you? What gets you interested? What will get
Yeah.
your creative juices flowing? And I
Yeah.
was like, I'll mention I'm a professional, semi-professional podcaster, I guess. I was like, I've been doing this for a long time.
And here
And
we
this
are.
is, how I kind of
Well,
accidentally crafted my dream job here at Candour. So I was like, okay, cool.
I don't want to go off because there's a couple of things I'd love to mention, but just to go off for a second, life does throw you things, and say yes, because those opportunities, when they come up, sticking that on your CV and saying, yeah, I do it. You don't know what the knock-on effect is and where that leads you. And I feel like it's such a positive thing to take those chances. If someone says, go on a training course, just do it. Just say, yeah, why not? Okay, it's a couple of days out. You don't know the next step from that, but you meet the trainer and the trainer get really well, and then they're looking for it. And then your next role turns into, I love, my journey has been so weird. I originally did a degree in zoology and used to do microbiology for the government. I used to do anthrax diagnosis in Weybridge.
And not anthrax as in Scott Ian and the boys.
No, we just sit there
Okay.
constantly listening to anthrax, just persistence of time on all the way through, and then band, to fund the band, ended up doing telesales, because anything to fund, like in between tours. Learned how to sell, went into print media because one of my friends needed an ad guy to sell. Learned digital there. Then here I am, like, just say yes to stuff. I just love the fact that you went for it, put it on the CV, said, yeah, this is what I love doing, but turns into, that's a nice thing to embrace, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And I think a lot of people, hopefully, the people who've stuck around through the political discussion will feel inspired.
I love it. It should, yes.
Exactly. Yeah. To do that kind of stuff. You can see, I'm not a business owner, but I'm doing a job I enjoy and I'm being paid, and, I'm enjoying my life and all that kind of thing. So, and you running your own business and successfully running an agency is, as I kind of hinted at earlier, with like how dodgy it can be with clients and the struggle through COVID and all this kind of stuff. Like,
yeah,
you guys at 47 Marketing are doing really well.
Thanks, man.
We're lucky to be in an industry, and we're doing well in that industry because we've seen plenty of other agencies and companies go out of business, to put it bluntly, over the last few years. Has that kind of been a conscious decision to you to kind of to put that energy back into the band, where you kind of now in a comfortable place with 47, where you can be like, okay, I'm now, the team is expanding. I think there's 8 or 9 of you these days, right? So
it's not 9 as of last week. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
And there's an element for me of like, you kind of need to be somewhere comfortable with where your energy is being spent, right? Like, how do you balance that kind of thing between, obviously, family, kids, all that stuff as well?
Yeah, well, one family, 2 kids. You know what I mean? Yeah. I don't get it right at all. I'm really sorry. I wish I had some cool. I think the business is all encompassing still. I'm very bad at accepting a status quo. I hate to admit it, but
I've never been a fan of the quo either, to be honest, mate.
Yeah, it's like one good song, but anyway, that's not. I'm always driving the business forward. I'm really bad. My wife has to actually sit me down to say, take a minute to say well done to yourself, because I'm really bad at that. Then the band starts back up again, and we're putting energy into that. I think weirdly, just putting energy slightly somewhere else is really helpful for me. I think I'm working too hard, but working on something else is great because it's just a switch. Get to go into a practice room at 8 o'clock at night till way past my bedtime at least 11 o'clock, and then but you get a lot out. You get that energy out. You get to be creative and not be Ade from 47 for a bit. Not that I'm so famous, you know what I mean? But in my head, this is all encompassing, and it's been lovely to drive in another direction for a bit.
Yeah, definitely.
Really cool.
That's a really interesting way of thinking about it, actually. I think that not needing to be Ade from 47 for a bit almost kind of counterbalances that. And I'm totally there with you, mate. I do far too much. I'm far too busy, all that kind of stuff. But a lot of the other stuff I do is the stuff that gives me the energy to do my day job better, right?
Yep.
You put it brilliantly there, of like, you take that weight off of like, okay, I'm no longer running this business. I'm no longer having to deal with all the infinite to-do list that never ends, as we
Yes.
about. There's always something to do. There's always something to keep you busy, but you can go out and burn off energy or whatever outlet you need to then kind of refocus and be like, oh, right, yeah, I've got. Some people go to the gym. Some people join bands, write creatively, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Re-energizing yourself by doing something slightly different, for me, has always been a really positive thing, and that's a really good way for me to kind of like balance myself.
Yeah, it's
but
because
I don't end up doing too much.
I'm not that good at. I don't relax very well at all. If I'm honest. So the idea of switching off has never really been in my lexicon, if I'm honest. So I have to switch to something else. I just have to change the track. So I surf quite a lot. That's a lovely kind of thing to go and obsess over and watch endless videos while I should be sleeping and how to do it and all that. But the band is great. We're interestingly trying to write an album, and we've given ourselves a bit of a deadline. I don't know why I'm giving myself this stress. We're like 12 weeks. I've got another 4 songs. So like, okay, why am I? But it is energy in a different place. What's the old adage? A change is as good as a rest. I think for certain people, perhaps with a mutual, which we talked about at the beginning, perhaps a mutual energy, should we say? A change is all I'm going to get, because I don't get a rest, because I'm not very good at that.
I'm right there with you, mate. Yeah, I'm always looking for something new, and the classic ADHD thing of like, oh, you've got another new hobby, like yeah,
and I need
a new
things.
hyperfixation. You buy all the gear and all the stuff, and it's just like we in it. Like I'm on a bit of a fitness journey heading towards my MMA fight in November, so I'm like doing a lot of like Brazilian jiu-jitsu and MMA training and stuff. Oh, do you not know about this? Oh, right, yeah. So I'm doing a charity fight in November, and I'm 12 kilos down so far, which is off to a good start. I started that, funny enough, just after Brighton, like literally straight after Brighton in April, and now we're recording in July, and it's been an interesting journey. Like, I used to do martial arts when I was younger and be a bit fitter.
So you have got some. You're not just straight in cold.
Well, the interesting thing is, and I'll keep this brief. The charity thing. Have you ever heard of like ultra white collar boxing, that kind of thing, like ultra MMA, that kind of thing?
Like the Fight Club kind of vibe.
It's that kind of thing. So they do. You have to raise money for charity and sell tickets for the event. That's how they make their money, and then obviously give the money to charities who do it through Just Giving. And also, there's an element of like they pay for your training camp, so you get 8 weeks of free training leading up to the fight. And apparently, a lot of people go from 0 to 8 weeks of training and then have a fight. I'm like, no. I haven't trained in 13 years. Like I'm probably like 20 or 30 kilos heavier than I was back then. So I need to sort my shit out.
I would be 100% building up to that, so that when I turn out, I'm already feeling like I'm confident enough to take on the 8-week training.
Exactly. 8-week training doesn't start until September, and we're in July at the moment. I'm like, I'm on week 2 of my jiu-jitsu training. I'm back in it, like grappling and doing all that stuff.
Dude, this is hardcore. Send me a link.
Covered in bruises and stuff.
I thought you were just flexing.
just gonna flex.
Send me a link, dude. Definitely need to sponsor you. That would be.
Thanks, man.
That is
appreciate it.
Cool.
But yeah,
and terrifying. We're still fighting. Maybe you're just psyched about it. I don't know.
So it's been an interesting thing, like, because my film podcast is coming to an end. One of the other guys is moving away and stuff, and I was like, I've got spare time. What do I do now? As you're saying, they can't possibly relax, right? You need to do something new. And Candour job keeps me very busy, obviously doing lots of other bits and pieces and trying to do creative stuff as well. I was like, I should probably sort my fitness out as well. Like I've gotten well out of shape sitting around.
That's a lovely bonus to what you're doing. I mean, just get fit to do. Getting fit for fitness' sake is dull as dishwater. Getting fit to do something is way cooler. Like I can't. I do go to the gym, and I just have to listen to like horror books or something to like get me kind of somewhat energized or something. But ultimately, I'd much rather be doing an activity. to get fit. Like, as in, I'd rather be skateboarding, to be honest.
Yeah. There's always that kind of thing for me of like, you need a goal to do it, to keep you motivated. Again, that's an ADHD thing. Welcome everybody. This is a full political and
I
mental
feel like
health
I'm
discussion.
learning a bit here, but maybe yeah.
Like I said, I've got into a bad habit of diagnosing people, so I will keep quiet.
We get a certificate.
Jack thinks you have ADHD, little
Yeah,
badge.
that would be
I'll give that to you in Brighton when I next see you, mate.
Sweet.
But for me, I think that also ties into a lot of the business side of things as well, because I tend to keep myself busy at work. I'm always looking for a new thing. I'm always looking for like, oh, I can always have more sponsorship for the podcast. I can always have more things to do. You know, we're not particularly looking to grow as an agency, but as you said, if we can make more money and do it in a way that we're happy with, like I will discuss potential sponsorships in the same way we would for clients with the directors and the team. And like, oh, do you feel comfortable working with this company or whatever? I'm outreaching to these guys because I think they align with our goals and our business, and they want to work with us, that kind of thing. Do you find like the clash there when it comes to, again, that the constructive capitalism, I think you worded it there, when it comes to the sort of analytical stuff in SEO and marketing and then the creative stuff, are you able to kind of filter that out, or do you think they kind of balance each other out and they kind of actually coexist and fuel
I'm
each
actually
other?
a big fan of SEO being considered a creative industry. Like
An art, not a science.
love solutions. I love going to a client and going, do you know that people are doing this and you sell that and no one's ever married the two up for you? Like, I love it being creative. Obviously, I'm more of an on-page intent keyword kind of guy. That's more my vibe. And persona and empathizing with trying to figure out search volume and where to go. I'm not on the full technical side. I'll leave that to Jack Stonehouse on our side. But I still believe it's a creative process. I think when we take on a new client, we don't just work with a set of dull numbers. We're working with real individuals the other side, right? Search is it's a creative and human process. So non-directed, directed search, that whole journey, the funnel, yada yada. With the funnel that's now dead, but you know, the kind of I think you have to be relatively creative to be able to start understanding more than just the bit that's in front of you. So oddly, I've always never found a division in it, really.
That's really interesting. I think, because I think they can really complement each other, right? I think, I know, again, talking about the ADHD side of things, friend of the show, Miriam's SEA, did a talk that was ADHD plus SEO equals heart emoji.
Yeah,
and I think also can be very true for a lot of the creative stuff as well, because I find I don't often describe myself as creative, and then I realize, like, well, I'm a published writer and I've been in like 15 different bands, like all this kind of stuff. Like, I think that's fairly creative, but I have an astrophysics degree. I think of myself as a very logical, like very analytical kind of person. It's like, you can be both. You don't just need to pigeonhole yourself into one. I think you're totally right. You can really kind of balance the two and coordinate them and work them together, right?
I'm also really into bringing a scientific approach to what we do as well. Like with my biology background, it'd be interesting to have the astrophysics versus life science kind of debate. But Google, let's talk search engines now. Let's not say Google. I'm so ingrained in so many years of I'm really trying to not be the old dude that says Google all the time. So when we're talking about search as a whole, it's an environment, and we have to test things to see if that has an effect on the environment. And it's exactly the same as a hypothesis when I was doing my dissertation on nitrates in a stream in Wales or whatever I was doing. You know, like, I think when there are more nitrates, there will be less biodiversity. I think if we add a paragraph that says what is at the top, I think we might gain a little bit of traction. Like it's the same thing. So analytical approach is really important in SEO. Data analysis and understanding is really important. But also you have to be creative enough to work out what it is you're meant to be testing. So I think that they're all part of the same thing. I was talking to someone about, I don't know if you ever did statistical significance. You meant, the ANOVA and t-tests and wasn't my bag. But when somebody quotes at me, and let's be honest, our industry is full of claims. There are lots of people claiming many things, especially at the moment with AI to sell things, etc. you know, a 2.5% increase on something that your data set is 100. I don't think that's statistically significant to be a defined change to then start charging people £1,000 a month for a product that you're trying to flog.
Yep.
Analytical still has a place. It still has a place, but I think you need to have that creative bent to be able to sort of funnel it in the right direction.
Absolutely. And I think
it's going off on a random tangent and not having any direction.
But I think you're totally right. Like, again, not to get too political and stuff, but like that comes back around to a lot of the discussions we were having when COVID happened and all this kind of stuff. Like the whole anti-science, anti-expert movement that happened and all that kind of stuff. People are very hesitant to get into the scientific stuff to, like you said, treat something exclusively as a creative thing or exclusively as an art thing. Whereas much of life, and again, maybe getting a bit philosophical here as well, is a blend of both things, especially when you're working, especially when you're doing things like handling data and trying to understand. Good luck, understanding what's going on Search Console or GA4 or whatever without having some idea of how numbers work and statistics work and all this kind of stuff. But I think a lot of people kind of like freak out at it, right?
They do. And oh God, here we go. You nearly touched on a really hot topic, and I don't want to go into it too much, but people getting science wrong drives me absolutely crackers.
Mate.
And we have in our house, like if we're watching something and my wife literally looks at me going, they've just got science wrong, haven't they? And I'm just like, our next single that's coming out in September, I think, is literally about the ease of embracing. It's easier to embrace a theory that allows you to just get angry and whatever without any evidence whatsoever, if it means you don't have to act. If you can blame it on something else and funnel your distress into that, go, it's definitely that. I don't need to change. There's a massive rush of that, and the internet sadly is the cause of that, and it's happening a little bit with AI in search. To circle back around, it's almost like a sort of conspiracy theory thing. There's some really interesting stuff going on, and I love looking at the data and trying to, but some people are taking little bits of info and really running with it, and it's a very interesting time to be in search.
Yeah, definitely. I think we see a lot of, we've seen charlatans and snake oil salespeople for decades, hundreds of years at this point. Obviously, within SEO, that's been happening since the 90s. As soon as there is money to be made and things to be manipulated, people are going to do that, right? But like we said right at the beginning of the episode, if you're trying to do it in an ethical way, whatever your values are, then you kind of try and counterbalance a lot of that stuff. And I think we're seeing, you're spot on, maybe not like more, but it feels like everybody is scaling and accelerating with AI, with LLMs. So it just feels like everyone is doing all the bad stuff and talking more shit than ever because they can do it at scale so much easier.
There is, and part of, do you know what, interestingly, one of the core values, I suppose, of 47 has always been trying to be as straight up as possible and give a shit, right? Those two things for me have been actually care about what happens, and a client is not a churn and burn, oh well, somebody else will come along kind of thing. The other is to try to rail against the mystery of SEO, the wizardry, the kind of, because actually I've always found it quite logical and really enjoyable, and love chatting about it. And I like saying to client, we did this and this happened. Like there's no mystery to it. It's just that you didn't know to do it, and we've done it. And I think I've always railed against that snake oil thing, and it's just turned up to 11. Like now it has gone mega, and it's just overwhelming. I mean, it is the noise out there at the moment is crazy. Just with people flogging additional, well, you should, give us this and we'll get you on this. It's like, you don't know how to get them on there. Like, maybe you've got a rough idea, but no data.
Yeah, I think you're totally right. The 2 points I want to pick up on there, like the element of people saying like, I'm an AI mode expert, or I'm a GEO specialist, or AIEO specialist, or whatever the new acronym they want to use. Like AI mode has been live for some users in the US for a matter of weeks at time of recording. Like you are not an expert in that thing. The whole 10,000 hours thing maybe doesn't apply to everything, but like the fact that a lot of people who've been doing this job for 10, 15, 20 years,
Yeah,
it seems like a lot of the stuff that works is kind of still working. A lot of best
it
practice
is.
stuff is still true. And I
Yeah,
think you nailed it earlier there, mate, when you were talking about people taking a tiny little thing of like, oh, Google mentioned this one thing, or OpenAI mentioned this one thing, or
yeah.
there's one snippet of one little patent somewhere that looks like it could be this thing. And they just extract that to, here's how to transform your strategy. Here's how your clients will be shitting the bed without this new thing. And it's like,
Literally, dude.
like
Obviously not naming any names, but a lovely agency that we're good friends with outside of SEO. Actually, they're in the PR space. Sent us an emailer that one of their clients had got that was really upset about what this said about AI, and that everything was ruined. And they sent it to me because I do quite a lot of consulting with them, and I train their team, and we're really lovely guys. And it basically said, AI overviews are going to destroy all of your traffic to your business. That was kind of like headline, and it was done on a Word doc. It wasn't even like a nice PDF, but I mean, it was just attached to with like literally almost like a clipper like image of it. It was, and it went on to say AI mode has already rolled out, like full stop. So that's not true. That's just complete. And then it was going on about saying, but AI mode is going to kill all your clicks, but we can get you. Sorry, AI overviews are going to kill all your clicks, but we can get you in them. So hang on a minute. Are you pro this, or like it made no narrative sense? How you might try and get them in them, but if you said that by definition they're going to kill all your clicks, because the 0-click thing is definitely happening, and we're all seeing knowledge searches, and that's okay. We're going to ride that through and see where that's going. But they literally was this scaremongering email. I think I posted on LinkedIn a bit of a rant about saying the scaremonger has got to stop. I was pretty pissed off about it, to be honest. You can't go around just scaring people. That's not cool. Like, that's not how we do business,
Absolutely, yeah. And I think there's a lot of that, I guess, scaremongering and all that kind of stuff. Like you said, just driving up engagement, getting reactions, all that kind of stuff. Obviously, that ties into the political stuff as well, naturally.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of that, you have people fighting the good fight, thankfully. A lot of people calling people out and doing proper research and actually getting data and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And as nerdy and as boring as that sounds, that is kind of where a lot of the foundational nature of a lot of the best practices and all the kind of stuff that we do in SEO and digital marketing comes from. Is we stand on the shoulders of the people who have come before us, right?
Absolutely.
And I think that's also true in music, also true in many creative things. Like, I know you and I were talking about inspirations and bands we were inspired by, and I was like, oh dude, I think you guys sound a lot like NoFX, and you were like, yeah, NoFX, love NoFX, all this kind of stuff.
Totally.
The little comparisons there where like people will compare, 427 reminds us of Candour, or Candour reminds us of 427, or whatever it is. Like,
mate, that would be lovely.
Right? That there's those elements of like, okay, yeah, I clearly align with this person, or I follow this person. We, talk about people like Lily Ray or the late Bill Slavsky and all this kind of stuff, like who pave the way forward by doing a lot of this research and getting in their hands dirty, for want of a better phrase, in a lot of the search data. And I think for me, when you can get actual data to come up with a hypothesis, that's when that science stuff comes in. And again, I said hypothesis there for a reason, because theory is a thing that is backed by evidence. You can come up with a hypothesis, and exactly as you said earlier, Ade, test the bloody thing. If you see somebody saying like, oh, I reckon I can do this thing, and you have your own website you can test on, which I recommend if you're not already doing that, folks at home, or if you're working with a client who is interested in trying new things and doing it, and you can have that open conversation with them. Test stuff, try it out, see what works, so you have evidence for yourself and data for yourself, and you're not just saying, oh, somebody on LinkedIn said it, we should probably pack the whole thing in and do a new strategy.
We are super lucky that we have a really lovely client that has literally said, let's try this. So now it's they get good level of traffic. It's quite a big platform. The director said, I love breaking stuff. Let's just go for it. Let's do stuff. And the marketing manager's really driven it, because we were kind of saying, no, that's test, that's not. and she's been very much let's gun it, and it's been great to talk through that. So now we are going to be testing some LLM optimization, however you want to say, and it's going to be a great test bed. So I'm really buzzing about it. It's not that we're negative about it. I just want to be able to say, can I show growth? If we can show growth and we're not annoying or messing with any other search, because there's a lot of pages that rank really well organically. So obviously we're carrying this kind of glass thing around, and it's like, well, let's be logical about the content. Let's potentially frame it slightly more in a definition kind of a way, but that fits in with helpful content. That there's I don't see it being too much. Good SEO is good SEO, right? But we're just going to nudge it a little harder, and I'm going to be really interested to see. It's lovely that we've got a client that's up for testing, so we can try it on ourselves, and we've got some testbed sites. We did manage to kill one testbed site with just running purely ChatGPT content for like 400 pages, and it.
We did that as well. Yeah, we had called it the Canary in the Coal Mine site.
Yeah,
where, Mark was scraping video game FAQs.
Excellent.
And then just chucking them up on a site and just absolutely churning them out like 100, 200 a day or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And it did really well. Bing was giving us so many clicks. We were getting thousands of clicks. It was all lovely. And we're like, cool, we could probably monetize this at some point if we really want to do that. And then I can't remember off the top of my head which helpful content. It might have even been the infamous September 2023 that killed, put people out of business. But it absolutely tanked, and it went from I think it was like 10, 15,000, 20,000 clicks to literally 5. And we're like, oh, okay, yeah, that's game changing stuff. If this was like an actual legit site, and like you said, if we were doing this for a client, you'd be in a lot of trouble. So having that test bed, for me, to tie it back into the punk side of things, that's the band practice, right? That's the demos, that's all that kind of stuff. That's the jam around and be like, oh, actually, I like what you did there. How about you do that for the second verse, and we do that that way, and then swap that bit around, and then when the drums come in, you do that, and then we do this. It's like,
but you don't go on stage and try it. You don't go and try it straight up.
Don't do a Dave Matthews 40-minute jam, like
exactly. Yeah, honestly, and I think we have a duty of care. I think that's another really important part of results are important for clients, but the duty of care, the safety, is also really important, and we have to walk that line between saying, I know we all want massive results and we're all kind of interested in this, but I have to bring you back from the brink a little bit because I feel like that's going to be a problem. And I think that's important. It's not always welcomed. And I think, that's part of working with a, I'm going to say it, I'm not very good at working with a good agency. Is part of that, is to say, I don't think you should do that. But, it's our job to protect your rankings as well as build them. And, don't lose it all. Don't chuck it all away, because you're not getting it back. Regardless of penalty recovery discussions, I think it's pretty tricky to get all that stuff.
Definitely. I think there's a lot of that, like you said, when we have a lot of people come to us when it's, we were hit by this update. What can we do to recover? And like, well, okay, give us some context. What you've been doing before? Have you been working with an agency who screwed you over or gave you bad advice or whatever it is? Have you knowingly or unknowingly done something that goes against particular guidelines or whatever? Some people do. They're just pootling along doing their little marketing thing, and then realize like, we didn't realize we should be, I've just been throwing ChatGPT stuff up without even thinking about it, or using Perplexity or whatever it is. I didn't even think about how that would affect us organically. And then you have them come to an agency like ours and be like, okay, what do we do now? We have crashed, and we need this recovery. And I think that kind of conversation ends up being, a long-term strategic discussion, a long-term, again, discussion of values. Like, are you in this for the long run? Do you just want to fix it and get back to what you were doing? Do you need that kind of quick fix, make money quick scheme type stuff? Or do you want to commit to, as you said, like good SEO? Do you want to commit to good content and actually providing helpful stuff? And I think that is a whole conversation about the upcoming front of AI mode and AI generated content, and the Ouroboros of AI content trained off and other AI content and
Well,
all
and the
this kind of
positive feedback loop of chaos that's going to
yeah.
ensue. Yeah, exactly. Or the loop of shit. I don't know quite how that's going to end up. Just the more people do the more people that block it, the learning gets worse, right? And then it's just feeding off of just awful stuff.
Yeah.
I think that what you said, where people come to you, and in the spirit of candor, this is, I think we've done this wrong in the past, and I think we've said, yeah, we've got you. Let's have a look. Come in, we can do this. And Jack and I actually had a chat the other day about, we don't always have Search Console access prior to a pitch, right? You're not gonna, so we're using SEMrush and whatever to try and see what's been going on, and you're pitching off of the back of whatever data you've got and what you're being told. And we had a situation a little while ago, and they didn't tell us that they'd been tanking for about 12 months, and it was only when we got to this point here where we're kind of leveling out, seeing a bit of impression gain, early doors, like, oh, is that AI? Yeah, oh, that was ChatGPT. Okay, yeah, why is there 2 pages for this? And so we're unpicking a huge conflict. Almost the cannibalization was like the damn thing was eating itself on many levels. And I was sort of told that we're kind of doing all right. It's sort of got a bit weird. Can you help? Is anyone we really got the data? We're like, oh wow, like this has been on a serious downward trajectory for 12 months, and we've got 3 months to dig this out. So it's and we almost talked about saying we may want to start seeing Search Console beforehand. Even a screen grab will do, but I need the last 16 months of that data to see where you're at before I quote.
Yeah, we've had similar conversations. Even little things like, what does your indexing report look like right now?
Yeah,
I don't need details. I don't need individual pages or anything like that. I don't want to get into any like NDA stuff before you've even signed a contract or anything like that.
Yeah.
But we've had very similar kind of things, like cannibalization being a perfect example of like, why isn't this doing this? Like the kind of thing you would never find from external data, from third-party data.
Yeah.
But then you can suddenly see, well, none of your canonicals are working how they should, but why? They're there from an external point of view. I can see it and it looks fine, but what is going on here? And we had a client where you look at their indexing report and it was, anytime anybody does any internal search or anything is generated with any kind of query string, it creates a URL on the CMS.
And you really say that? Oh wow, okay.
And that's classic, right? And I was like, okay. So I want to ballpark the numbers here. I think the site is an e-commerce site with like 7,000 or 8,000 total pages. That's all the informational stuff. That's all the products. That's bits and pieces and categories and all this kind of stuff. And then I was like, can I have a look at your page in like your non-index side of things? What does that look like? And they're like, oh, and it was like flat, and then shot up. I was like, what's that number there? It's like, oh, it's like 750,000. I'm like, huh. That's only like 100 times the rest of your entire site. What's going on here? And he was like, oh, I just click on this little thing. It's like, yeah, just click on that Google selected alternative canonical for me. Just like click on that. Like, huh. It's got all of these query strings, basically in an infinite loop of any query string then cascades onto another query string. So you've got like absolute chaos. I'm like, okay.
Wow.
This is going to be a problem, and this is what we need to address first. So like you're saying earlier, you don't even need to necessarily be the most technical person, but being able to poke around and at least have that initial kind of thought process, for me, maybe comes from the scientific background side of things. That's the first thing I will do, is have that little analytical poke around. But also the other side of it, for me, I think a lot of people forget to literally try and use the client site as a user. Like you will just focus on the SEMrush stuff or the Href stuff or whatever it is, that third-party data, even if you don't have access to anything first-party. Have you actually looked at the website? Like actually physically clicked around and tried to navigate and stuff? Like it can be as simple as that, even when you don't have access to the Search Console and seeing the indexing report. I have had clients then realize like, oh yeah, our navigation's broken. I'm like, yeah, I know. I just clicked on it live on the call and I noticed it doesn't bloody work.
Nothing works. I think that off the back of that, we had a conversation the other day about the advancements in search and really leading the way, which is what a lot of us talk about, right? Like when we go to Brighton SEO, we're really enjoying being at the cutting edge of it. Right? That's kind of half the fun. Then we talk about real clients and the real world, and people's sites literally not working and buttons
Yep.
broken stuff, there is a huge gulf between the non-adopters of SEO. That's fine. They're doing their thing. They might not adopt digital marketing at all, to the absolute cutting edge, best agency in the world doing super finite kind of hardcore stuff. That gap is enormous.
Yep.
And it's the same with search behavior. Yes, people are using ChatGPT to search a little bit. Yes, people are using TikTok to search. Of course, there's a lot of young people really getting into that. Young people, check it out. The old dude talking about TikTok as a young platform. I'm only 46 only. But in between that, there is hundreds of thousands and millions of people that will still jump on Bing and jump on and just do trad stuff. So I think it's careful not to get too absorbed in the really super hardcore end of SEO, which is great fun. And remember that some people, the buttons don't work on their main menu, and there's a whole lot of stuff that we need to do that's really not particularly complicated. They just need some help.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know.
Yeah, I remember. I can't remember the exact stats, but it was episode 1 of this season back in January, funnily enough, with Jamie Indigo talking about the Web Almanac, and specifically the SEO chapter of the Web Almanac from the end of 2024. And there was a stat of like a significant amount of websites just fundamentally are uncrawlable. Like, that gap is absolutely astronomical. Like you're saying, so many of us are so focused on like, what are the limits we can push with this brand new technology, chasing the shiny thing, all this kind of stuff.
It's cool, right? Yeah, it's fun.
And then you work with clients, and again, the kind of people that keep our agencies in business, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah. We don't know what's going on. Like, let's have a look. And it could be something fundamental and simple, can be incredibly complicated, but so many people just fundamentally don't understand how this technology works. With this technology, I mean the internet, let alone LLMs and AI and all that other stuff as well, right?
Yeah.
And I think, again, not to get, I'm going to do our how do you do fellow kids now as a 35-year-old.
Hey kids.
The element of like a lot of people don't understand what they're working with. Like I remember the days when dial-up happened. The theme song of this podcast is a dial-up modem for a reason, right?
Yeah.
It's a lo-fi remix of dial-up modem noises, because Mark and I are old enough to remember the days before the internet, when I first got my first phone before it was a smartphone, and I was using WAP and 1G and stuff like that.
Phones. Yeah, amazing.
Exactly, yeah. All that kind of stuff. And I've always been the guy that fixes the printers in offices I've worked in. I've always been the nerdy techie guy who learns how to do stuff. And I think we're in a lot of an era right now, and this is not disparaging an entire generation or anything like that, where people are using technology they don't understand on a daily basis for fairly big, important decisions.
Yeah.
And maybe you should go and do some research and watch some videos and read some books or something, like, and understand what you're doing and why you're doing it.
but also, doesn't that leads onto an ethos thing from our end to provide an honest service and not take advantage of that, and I think,
and educate people as well, right?
Yeah, we had a really interesting. It was like 5 minutes, but it was fun. A friend of a friend, someone I met through Brighton SEO when we were mountain biking with Calvin years ago. Everyone kind of did that for a while. And they said, I've got a client, she was a content writer, and the site just isn't turning up. They're not turning up for their own brand name or whatever. And I was like, chuck it over, we'll have a look. They had been blocked in Robot TXT for like 2 years.
Yeah.
Since the site was built. Like the developers never allowed Google to crawl it.
Like you probably blocked it for staging and then never took it off or something.
Never took it off. Yeah. And they're like, oh, what did we owe you? I was like, nothing. Like seriously.
It was 15 seconds.
Yeah. There's your problem. And that's it. We have a duty of care, because we may know more than others, to not take advantage of that. And maybe this comes back to the punk rock ethos, but let's be good to people. It's great to make money, but let's do it in a way that is positive. I think it's
100%.
What we can all do.
Definitely, yeah. And I love having conversations with, as I like to call them on the show, the normies of the world that aren't in SEO. And, your partners, your friends, whatever, that don't work in SEO. I'm like, do you know what robots.txt is? Have you ever looked at a sitemap? Like, why on earth would you, if you don't work in this, if you're not doing development or you're not doing SEO? Like, cool. But if you're working in a company, and I had this conversation with my wife the other day, they were doing a mad exercise on her company's website where they got all of the people in her team to click on links on their new website to make sure it was working. And I was like, what? Like, so my wife is a qualified clinical like technician and nurse.
Yeah.
And they're using you to click on links on the website to make sure the PDFs load properly. I can do that in 8 seconds with Screaming Frog. Like, what are you talking about? Like, I will do it for free right now.
Yeah.
And my wife was like, oh, I'll tell my manager. And then I'm like, yes, you've spent half an hour doing something I could do in 5 fucking seconds.
Yeah.
Stop
There's
doing
a thing that does that. Yeah.
People build things that do this thing very quickly and very easily, but you don't know they exist until, if she wasn't married to me, she would have no idea site crawlers exist. So
Agreed.
it was a weird thing of like,
oh
yeah.
I'm always pleased when they've called it Screaming Frog. I still think just to add to the nerdiness,
it gets a reaction every time, right?
What we do, yeah, right. It's like, oh, let's use that. What the hell does that do? Well, nothing to do with frogs or script, but I love it. It's rad. That typifies
a pretty like punk band. That's a pretty good band name, actually.
It is.
Yeah.
Maybe this is what we need to start, but yeah.
We were talking about starting the SEO band earlier.
Yeah. Yeah. We'd have to. There's a bit of distance. We'd have to do it over this, which the time lag would drive me nuts.
I come down to Brighton twice a year, mate. We're fine.
Of course, fine. Yeah, let's
do exactly we all convene in Brighton, and we just like
go live with a song immediately. Yeah, fine. Oh God, no.
Exactly. I'll give you one last question, and then we'll get to some recommendations and stuff. Because I know we've been talking for a while. I mentioned that kind of the hiatus you went on with Phinius Gage, and obviously the punk ethos and stuff, and the mentality building your career and pushing you through to eventually founding 427 and having that side of things. Has it happened in the other way at all? Are you now approaching the band in a different way because you have the marketing? Are you thinking about, how do we market this next single? Or, how do we, to make sure our website is crawlable?
Yeah, right. Yeah. I wish we had. I remember when bands had websites. That was, yeah. Do you know what? Yes and no. I have to give a massive shout to Matt Steele, who's our drummer, works in Manuka Honey of all things. But
nice.
That dude has gone from being a PR genius to being amazing at social. And I'm not taking any credit for. Yes, we as a collective are definitely using our skills that we've learned since the last time we were doing all this stuff. But because we're not trying to rank for punk band, I'm a bit out. I sort of have, and unless we can start, Spotify algorithms interesting, but not gameable in the same way that, I'm not. So sadly not. If we'd have started a company to do something cool, then yes, of course I'd be all over it. But actually, it's so much more about the socials, and that's never been my baby at all. So I've got all these skills and I can't use them. So no, it's not. It's staying. I think there isn't a flip side of that though, and I think coming to the band now is a lot more relaxed. We're not driving in the same way. We're actually having a lot more fun. So weirdly, I think my other life with the business is allowing me to focus all that full on drive, that growth drive. The band is now a purely creative outlet, which is nice because the band used to be a really hardcore drive and a creative outlet, and it was. Sometimes you became angry with each other, so bands fall out. It's why aren't we taking that tour? Why don't we? So weirdly, the byproduct is I'm able to split them really nicely now. So it's definitely more fun now. Like it's less. Well, also we don't have to go on tour living on £2.50 a day and driving 1 million miles all the time, and so it's just a bit more comfortable.
Doing a tour fueled by like copper soups and noodles and stuff like man.
I kid you not, we used to go into service stations and steal all the ketchup sachets or brown sauce and feeling a bit fruity, and because we didn't eat all day, you'd tear a little bit, and while you were driving to like Frankfurt or something, you'd just be like sucking ketchup out to by way of some sort of sustenance. We had no money. It was only till we get a bit bigger and you start getting fed at shows and stuff, but back in the day it teaches you a lot of resilience. It's a life it's a weird life. Anyway, story for another time.
Definitely. Let's get into some recommendations then, shall we?
Yes.
What is one actionable thing you'd recommend the listeners and viewers to start doing right now?
Right. I was thinking really hard about this, too hard, as always. And actually, just in the spirit of what we've been talking about authenticity and maybe being you, um, I think it will be important to consider what your passions are outside of work. I'm not talking about running your own business. I'm talking within any career. And then just take a minute to consider the passions and interests of those you interact with, because I think the odds are that client that you may work with that feels ever so terrifying or very prim and proper may well be doing exactly what you're doing, and may also be it golf, be it sea swimming, be it whatever you're into. Most of us have something. It's movies, whether you're you do board games, whatever. The reality is everybody has a life outside of, but we don't perceive them. So the actionable thing is, if you've got a good relationship, ask them, because I don't think we do that very often. I don't think we say, what do you actually do on the weekends, Mr. I think that'll open up a really cool thing and could be hugely productive in terms of networking and building business and everything else. So it's what I've been starting to try and do. And it's, people are into some really cool stuff when you start asking. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I totally do that when I'm networking as well. I very much literally wear my tastes on my shirts and my t-shirts. Like I'm wearing my favorite band, Gojira, at the moment. Like,
amazing.
Always wear a band t-shirt or a wrestling t-shirt or a video game t-shirt, or whatever it is.
Jurassic Park shirts, excellent.
Jurassic Park shirt, exactly. You were there at the live podcast, exactly. Like, even when I'm dressed up, I'm still got that little bit of nerdiness to start that conversation. And people talk about my t-shirts all the time. It's like one of the things.
I spotted your strapping young lad t-shirt when you were.
There you go. Exactly. Yeah, big Devin Townsend fan.
Yeah,
and people comment on like, oh man, I don't remember what it was. Mentioned like, oh, I wasn't looking for a new SEO podcast, but I saw you were wearing your Opeth t-shirt, and it's the promo image of me, Mark, and Snoop, and I'm wearing. It was a day in the office, so I was wearing one of my many black band t-shirts. Was my entire uniform. I'm like, oh, knowing you guys are into metal, I'll give it a listen. I'm like, that's mad. There is like a conversion rate of, I got into Opeth when I was 15, and then 20 years later I have a new listener to my business podcast, right?
It's just hard. I was at a networking thing. I find networking really hard, by the way. It's not my natural environment. It's hugely anxious about it, but I've realized very much like that is, if you take the pressure off by just chatting and saying, oh, what do you do? And ended up meeting somebody at a big IT firm. Turns out he's a huge metalhead, and he was always suited and booted, so I just didn't know. It was only that happened to someone said something about music, and now every time I see him, he's become a friend. That we talk about who we've been to, and you just wouldn't pick it to look at him, and that's okay. But if you just dig a little deeper, there's so much cool stuff that you can share with people, and that connection is really important, I think.
Absolutely. I think stuff like music and your passions outside of work and stuff can be so universal and unifying. Even if we don't have the same taste in music, the fact that you care is interesting to me. Why do you like this country band or this pop artist or whatever it is? I'm interested because I like music and I want to know more about it. And I always find like people are surprised how much I care about that stuff. Like, I will always ask questions, and I'm always very inquisitive, and people are like, why do you care about this country artist you've never heard of? I'm like, because you care and you're my friend, or I'm interested in this thing, or, like you said, we're trying to build that networking connection or whatever. There's always an element to me of like, just have a conversation as a human being rather than just we must talk business all the time.
And that's the key. And I think when I was in a sales team, that I then went on to be the manager of the team, but there was another manager in place when I started, and it was absolutely sterile. Do not show, because I was still fresh from the band then, first time round, and she honestly, she really suppressed that. Really said, I don't think you should ever mention that. I think that's incorrect for the clients. It's going to put them all off, and that's really heartbreaking to take a huge part of myself out. So, but that doesn't mean I'm automatically always going to turn up to, if the event requires a shirt and I think it looks nice to wear a shirt or a tux, it doesn't mean I'm going to turn up with tattoos out and kind of, a big fuck you kind of thing. Like there's a nice way to do it, but I think there are people behind those facades, and it's nice to try and find them.
Absolutely. Like you said, it comes back around to the authenticity side of things, right? It's a big reason why I follow certain creators, listen to podcasts, listen to bands, whatever it is, because I get the vibe that they're real, authentic people and not just this,
Yeah, I love it.
facade to make money or facade to not offend anyone or whatever it is. That's a huge way you can relate to other people. So talk about your passions, people. Even if you're at a big conference, just talk about stuff.
Do it.
Next up, a tool, piece of software you would recommend to check out.
Oh, this is really hard. So I'm going to be super dull and just pick the rank tracker that I really like using. It's called Rank Caddy. We've been working with them. We sort of betaed a load of stuff with them. We've all used a lot of trackers, right? And for some reason, for me, and I'm sure for lots of other people, I just love the interface. It works super well. The live chat, you can suggest stuff in the live chat and they get back to you and go, that's a cool idea. And then it deploys. And it's just, and then they did something the other day where you're adding your keywords to add into the tracker. They've rolled in a keyword research tool with search volume based on, and it's already pre-sorted. So you start typing and it's pre-filled. Now there may be others, sorry, but I was super cool. So I really love that. But I also really love my keyword keg subscription, super basic research tool. It does exactly the merge tool. I love. So I quite like simple things that do their thing rather than paying 3 million quid a month for stuff that half of it you don't end up using.
100% agree, mate. I think there's a lot of, like you said, we've all used basically every rank tracker at this point.
Yep.
If you've been around long enough, you've poked around, but just getting something that just does the right thing for the right job. And I know a lot of the companies want to kind of expand and do other bits and tack on and bolt on other bits and pieces and charge you and all this kind of stuff. I just kind of appreciate, and again, maybe it's going back to the punk thing of like a little thing that just does the job that it set out to do,
Let me do all the other bits, because that's kind of in our heads. What I need is the straight up data from you, and then I'll let me do the rest.
Exactly. And last, not that we haven't already covered it, but a recommendation for videos, books, podcasts, anything like that, not SEO related, not work related. I mean,
this could have gone on. This could have been like the biggest.
It's a whole other podcast.
This conversation. So I'm trying to. It's not going to just be one. There's a couple of things, but just slightly on the metal bed. I love my horror stuff as well. Big sci-fi fan, but there's a book called The Ritual. And I can't remember the author. I put it in our notes. Is it Adam Neville?
Adam Neville, yeah.
The book, the movie's okay. Like I would kind of maybe skip the movie. It's cool. The book is brutal. It is so terrifying. It is absolutely amazing. Plus, it has a Norwegian black metal thread going all the way through it, which is super cool as well. It is awesome. I honestly get it on Audible. Go for a run. You'll run way faster. It is absolutely terrifying. So that was cool. And also, just quickly, if I can, just to celebrate the 50 years of Jaws, go back to the Jaws. If you haven't read the book is epic. Like the book is so much. I love the movies, but the book is amazing. And I think BBC did there was a bridge version they did on BBC Sounds, which is well worth cracking into if you want. But they're my two totally non. But we could have done so much more.
Well, yeah, I think obviously Jaws, the movie, kickstarted the whole blockbuster thing, and like you said, 50th anniversary and all that kind of stuff. But Benchley's original novel, I think, is hugely underrated. And the same is true like Crichton's Jurassic Park as well. Like Michael Crichton is pretty hit and miss sometimes, but some of that stuff and Jurassic Park is one of my absolute favorite films. Jaws is also like two stone cold classics, but they're based on those things for a reason, and I think they are hugely underrated and underappreciated.
I feel like I should have done this talk because I've come up because it's literally too bright and hot down in my office. But down in the kitchen, we've got an original Jurassic Park poster, like cinematic one, all in a UV frame, and still one of me and my wife both treasured possessions. Nice. But the book is incredible. Dr. Wu's demise is just awesome.
Oh yeah.
And, it feels like the book that they made Jurassic Park 3 from the bits they left out of the first book, right?
Yep.
And the Avery and all that sort of stuff. But Lost World book's okay. But Michael Crichton, there's Andromeda Strain, amazing. But that's well worth a read if you want to get into it. Anyway, there's way more. But yes, it wasn't it's amazing.
We could nerd out about horror and sci-fi all day, mate. Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
I'm going to put you on the spot as one last one. What are you listening to at the moment? What bands are you listening to at the moment? What music are you into?
Okay. Oh my God.
Keep it
That's
tight. Up
yeah,
to 3 bands. I'll keep
that's really
you
hard.
restricted.
But I am still in a massive bad religion hole at the moment.
Yes,
I'm
mate. Nice.
still just plowing through and having a lovely time bringing that back. There's another band. Oh my God, Malevolence. Just found them the other day. Absolutely brutal, like super heavy. Again, haven't checked their ethos or politics yet, so I do need to do a sense check on that. But they sounded awesome. Whacked that on the other day, and I'm a sucker for. I'm still quite enjoying Ghost, and I know I'd be roundly mocked, but the new album I'm still getting into. But there's something magical about that band, and I have no guilt in saying so. They're awesome. So there's a few different old school bad rally, some new crushing metal, and a bit of whatever the hell Ghost is in the middle.
Yeah, I love Ghost, man. I saw Ghost
Cool.
live.
I didn't know whether to say it.
Oh, of course, yeah. I saw Ghost live. Was it pre-pandemic? Time is a flat circle. Pre-pandemic stuff.
Yeah.
Like it was like 2019. It was when Tobias fired all the other musicians, and it was the new band, and it was like their first gig. It was that one. And I remember Malevolence got in trouble with the National Trust. Have you ever heard about this?
No. Again, I haven't done my. This is why we need the little bot. We need to build this, but yeah,
we do. This was literally like last month because I'm a big Malevolence fan as well. They did some filming of their music video in like a National Trust without permission or something like that, and the National Trust absolutely lost their minds and like told them to take the video down and all this kind of stuff. And they had Salt on the Wound or Salt on the Wound. Sorry, that music video is filmed in a particular park or whatever.
Amazing.
And they didn't have permission, so they got into this weird battle between like a northern metal band and National Trust, like battling it out. It's bizarre.
I love that. We've got to shoot a video tomorrow, and I'm dreading it. It's the worst. I really don't do well with pretending to do all the stuff. It's horrific. And we're not doing it in National Trust land, thankfully, so we should be all right.
Nice. You should be fine, mate. You should be fine. Awesome. Well, thank you, Ade, for joining me. It's been a pleasure. I feel like we could have talked for another hour about marketing and punk and horror and sci-fi and all kinds of other stuff.
Thank you for having me. It's been great to chat. Really appreciate it.
Been a pleasure. Where can people follow you? Where can people follow Phinius Gage? We're going to keep up with 427. Where are all the best places to find you?
Do you know what? LinkedIn is the platform I tend to default to. I've tried to move to Blue Sky and I didn't really get the momentum, to be honest. And X is a bit of a hellhole, so I've sort of left that. So really boring dad vibes on LinkedIn. I'll be getting really enraged about scaremongering, but otherwise, band wise, I mean, it's all on Spotify, Apple Music, stuff like that. So Insta's probably, it's about right for our target demographic for us. I think Insta, maybe Facebook. If you want to take a step back a little bit more. MySpace, that's where we're at.
Oh yeah, MySpace. Those are the days. When music would just autoplay in the background for no reason.
Yeah, that's it. Just right in your face. Just straight up.
Oh dear. Well, thank you so much, man. Really appreciate the conversation.
Thanks, man.
And that wraps up this week's episode. Thank you so much to Ade for joining me. I hope you really enjoyed it as well. Thank you so much for watching or listening, wherever you're watching or listening. And I hope you're enjoying the festive season and the start of December as we're heading towards the end of the year. I was talking to a couple of colleagues and a couple of peers in the industry earlier this week, and we were talking about predictions for 2026. We need to revisit our 2025 predictions that we did back in 2024. And I need to get a whole host of new guests and panels and all that kind of stuff started to discuss what we think will happen in 2026. So stay tuned for a lot of the December content being amazing, awesome people discussing and predicting what will happen in SEO in 2026. Like I said, Mark and I will revisit our predictions from the end of 2024 episode, what we thought would happen this year. And stay tuned for all of that over the next few weeks before we hit the end of the year. I've got some amazing guests coming up. I've already got some episodes lined up for next year, and we've got some amazing partnerships coming up in the new year as well that I'm really, really looking forward to. So stay tuned for that. Thank you once again, and I will see you next week. Merry Christmas and have a lovely week.